We are lifers, and this is Magic for Life. What's up, lifers? Michael Johnson here with part 6 of How to Feel Good and the How to Feel Good series. I'm excited that you're here with me today. If you haven't seen the other portions, the other parts of this series, please go back and watch them and do a recap. Please go do the things, the exercises that we have assigned in each of those other parts of this series, and then come back and play here. Don't worry, you can save it. Save it to a playlist wherever you're at, and then you can come back and get some more. So today we're going to talk about make a plan to close the gap. Make a plan to close the gap. This is a big deal. Last time we took inventory, right? And in efforts to take inventory, we went through and we said, okay, what are some of the external things that we can actually use to help us to feel good, and what are some of the internal things that we use to help us feel good? And we talked about what it is that you're currently doing now, and what we may or may not have found out, that there was a bit of a balance issue, right? And instead of this being level and being like this, it was maybe a little bit heavy on the external side, and that's okay. That's very normal, is very typical. But what we want to do is we don't want to necessarily go, join the monks in the Himalayas, right? And, that's a way to do it. We don't want to tilt this back this direction. That's not a thing. That's not necessarily what we're after. Now, if you want to go do that, go ahead. I'm sure it's a lot of fun, right? But what we really want to do is we really want to just take this and we want to make it even balance, right? Of the external and the internal. And we want that to be balanced here in the middle so that we can utilize all of the resources and all of the wonderful things that we have available to us to experience this lifetime, right? But when we are working on feeling good, oftentimes if we get too heavy on the external side, then what happens is we actually start to get bogged down and we forget how to do things internally. And that may be where you're at, but we want to definitely get there. Now, what we found here is if we look at this map here like this, what ends up happening is there's this gap in the middle. And we have now identified this gap. We're over here somewhere, maybe you've got a little bit heavy here and you need some more here, but we have this gap and we've got to figure out how to get from here to there because we want to balance this out, right? And if it's the other way around, that's cool too. Maybe you're on that side. Maybe you've got a ton here and you've been zenning out and you've been doing internally and everything's good, but maybe you're a little off balance, off kilter, and we've got to get some more things over here. You find that oftentimes when people need to take on a hobby, right? Because maybe they've done too much of zenning and figuring out themselves from the inside out and they don't have any sort of balance. And so they need to get something from the outside to start to get a little bit of balance, right? All things in moderation. This is a big deal, but we want to make a plan to close the gap. So how can we close that gap? How can we go here and get rid of all of this in the middle, close that gap right up, and get this to balance, right? Well, we now know what we were doing. We know maybe some of the things that are there, but we also have to decide where we want to go. I hear this all the time. Well, I don't want to be overly excited. I don't want to be overly cheery and happy all the time. I don't want to be like outgoing. That's just not me. Great. That's fine. It's okay if it's not you. I don't have a problem with that. And you don't need to become somebody else or something else for this ideal of feeling good. No, your feel good is unique to you. So maybe you're just a very stoic, maybe you're just very calm, and that's how you like to be, and you're happiest in that state. So maybe you're not going to bounce around and be excited and cheery, and maybe you're not going to go be bubbly at Disneyland, or maybe you are once in a while because it's balance. I don't know, but you have to decide where you'd like to be. What is going on these sides of the gap, right? And if we start to look at this in terms of something slightly different, let's take this away for a second. And now let's look at this from the perspective of emotions, right? And when we look at the emotions, where are our light and our dark emotions, right? So we got our dark and our light emotions. Notice I didn't say good or bad. And what do you live on? Do you have a bunch over here? Do you have a bunch over here? Where are you? Let's take some inventory there. And now we can take some time to make a plan to how to close that gap. Now, how are we going to plan this out? It's simple. We've got to make a plan for what we're going to do every day. And all I want you to do for this plan, we're not going to make a complicated plan. That's not what this is for. This is just so that you get the strategy down to understand what to do. And what to do next is to make a plan. So the first thing in the strategy is, what can you do? Ask yourself that right now. What can I do to start to feel better on a regular basis that actually works from the internal or from the external? So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to pick one constructive, one creative thing that you can do every day for the next 5 days. That's it, simple. That's 1 week, not even a full week. Next 5 days, what's one thing you can do from the internal, one thing you can do from the external that can actually help you to feel good? And let's make a plan for when we're gonna do it. It's simple. I'm gonna do this every day at 7 a.m. I'm gonna do this. And every day at 8 p.m. I'm going to do this. And those two things you're gonna do every day for 5 days. And those two things have to be feel-good things. They have to actually be feel-good things. Because remember, we said everything takes practice, right? And so now we're making a plan to close that gap. And these two things are gonna be the first step on the plan. Now, they might not be the only thing that actually closes the gap. It might just be one thing that you can do, right? But this isn't a comprehensive list. This is just, let's get started. Now, if you're an overachiever, great, go ahead and fill out 10 things that you can do on a weekly basis. Okay, go for it, right? But let's just start with one, right? Show me you can do one. I'd love to see in the comments, just mark in there, I'm gonna do it, and I did it. I just wanna see in the comments, let me know that you did it. Just one, I'm not asking for a huge amount or your firstborn. I'm just saying, hey, make a plan to close the gap. What internal or external, right? We can go external or internal. Oops. Thing are you going to do twice a day for the next 5 days? Right? And we're just going to say, hey, 5 days. If you can do it for 5 days, hey, you're going to be well on track and you will be feeling better. You will be feeling good on purpose. And now we've started to take back some of that control we talked about in part 2. Go do that. Let's start to make that plan to close the gap. You're more than welcome to get more into it and more in depth. Go for it. But right now, let's just choose one at different times of the day so that you have 2 times a day for 5 days. Okay, guys, if you know somebody that needs to hear this series, please share it with them. Please like and subscribe. If you remember, please comment below that you're doing it. I want to see that you're doing it and that you are enjoying what's going on. Let me know how it's going. And of course, if you haven't signed up for the Feel Good Challenge that's coming up, please go sign up at takethefeelgoodchallenge.com. That's takethefeelgoodchallenge.com. Don't miss it. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to create some new challenges or some new changes in your life and some new emotional states and some new feel goods, right? How to feel good. And it's going to be a ball. Don't miss out. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Hey lifers, have you ever been taught the skill set of feeling good? Most people haven't. It's so easy to fall into the trap of going through life not feeling good, or even worse, feeling mediocre. You don't have to settle. You don't have to let social media dictate how you feel. You don't have to give up your control over your life to other people in the world. It's time to take back control of how you feel. It's time to learn the skills of how to feel good, on purpose, on demand, and most importantly, from the inside out. I'm on a mission to help people just like you take back your life, grab a hold of your personal legend, and take your daily experiences to the next level. You can feel good on purpose. You don't need Netflix, you don't need food, you don't need anything outside of yourself. You can feel good on demand because you decided to and because it's a skill set. You can practice, get better at, and even master that skill set. You can feel good from the inside out. You don't need things, situations, or people to be responsible for making you feel anything. If you're ready, and maybe even if you're not, this is your chance to change your stars, to change your life at the most fundamental level, how you feel. Join me for the upcoming Feel Good Challenge. I challenge you right now. Come and learn the skill set you should have been taught as a child. Take the Feel Good Challenge. Take the rest of your life back. Go to takethefeelgoodchallenge.com right now and sign up while you still can. That's takethefeelgoodchallenge.com. We'll see you there.